grew up super poor in like one room, literally one room up until 9 years old. My parents had a corner of the room. My brother had a corner room. The kitchen was in the room. Bathroom was outside of the room. It was like a dorm style housing. I'm fine with small spaces. I've never really lived in a super luxurious place, and that felt very like I'm going against my upbringing in some way. I'm like bourgeois and spoiled and how dare I type of thing. So it was fun for me to imagine a super luxurious house that was like beautiful to look at and just had this feeling of grandness and openness and like hosting parties and all that. So we decided we're gonna do some trips. We started doing getaways once a month or so just for our sanity and for fun. We decided the places we would stay at would have this feeling, or we just wouldn't stay at them. So we went to Las Vegas one time and stayed in Bellagio. We rented a house in Venice Beach and we played house there for a weekend. And we went to a place in Dana Point, I think, and trying to remember everywhere we went. But it was deliberate, but it wasn't. It was playful. It was like, let's just, and by the way, still kind of unreasonable because we have a house. We could just give our kids to grandparents, stay at home. No, we're spending hundreds of dollars to go stay at these super nice places, kind of just for fun. Like, we're not saving for a down payment. We're being unreasonable, really. Being unreasonable. Second step, recognizing everything is divine. So we start looking at houses. We're both beach people. We're looking at the beach. Nothing at the beach under like 10,000. And plus, beach houses don't have a yard. Have you noticed that? The beach is the yard. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna let my kids play on the beach. So you're starting to like get really picky about super nice houses. And then I guess we didn't realize how many criteria we had. Like we both work from home. I need an office, he needed an office. The kids are getting older, they need space. We need multiple bathrooms, blah, blah, blah. And so we're looking in the areas where we're looking also. Schools are important. You're starting to be reasonable. Not a good way to go. It doesn't hurt to explore, but something came up out of left field. My husband's parents, the grandparents, live here in Signal Hill. I had associated this area with a bunch of tract houses, which is where the parents live. Not into tract housing. We're into custom homes and all that. So never looked in Signal Hill. Plus, it's away from the beach. This house came up on the market. I just saw it. It came up on Zillow. I saw the picture of the front and I was like, oh my God, that's so tropical and beautiful. And let's just go see it. We dropped off the kids one day, walked into the house, literally are standing downstairs, and I walk in and this feeling hits me. Now, mind you, intuition, I've had years of practice, right? The feeling, the best way I can describe it is I've lived here. So familiar, like home that I've never lived in. I'm telling you, I've never lived in anything close to this. So the fact that it's happening is just odd. And my husband, we look at each other and he's like, we didn't even see the upstairs. He was like, oh my God, yes. Like he felt the same way. And so we're walking around and this house, I think our budget was like $3,000, $3,500. This house was over our budget. So we're like, okay, how would this even work? Before we even thought about the budget or anything, we both got the application, told the guy we're gonna get this house. Like, we just knew it. Totally unreasonable. We should be saving for college. We should be saving to buy a house or something. I don't know what the normal thing is, right? But this house just felt so right. And then within days, things started to happen. I'm talking to a couple of friends, Toby, I think it was, at lunch, and then telling him about the house and telling him, oh my God, it has so much space. What would I even do with space? He's like, well, could you do workshops? Could you teach yoga? I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even thought about it. Like, I could make up the amount of rent that is the difference between what we were paying before and we're paying now with just 1 or 2 classes. Like, that's awesome. I could totally do that. And then all of these ideas started coming. So first I had to be unreasonable. Then I had to recognize everything is divine, even though it was outside of where we were looking. Never lived in an area where I can't walk to a coffee shop. Was not, as a matter of fact, on my mental list was can walk to a coffee shop. This is not near a coffee shop. But you know what? I have coffee maker, I have espresso machine, I have fucking views. You know what I mean? Like, I had to allow that it came in a package that wasn't the package I expected. Just like the birth, just like my husband, never dated a guy like him, never dated an Asian Pacific Islander guy, never, do you know what I mean? It didn't come in the package I thought it would. And so we signed the lease, feeling kind of nervous. And then a week later, I get notice from Zillow saying this home is going to pre-foreclosure. Panic for about 45 minutes. We just gave notice at our old place. We put the deposit down. I'm looking at movers. Like we agreed to move in 3 weeks, I think, so it was pretty aggressive. Like, I don't even know what foreclosures are really. I mean, kind of. And so it took me about 45 minutes of panic. And then and this is, you know, a practice now, is I just remind myself, every circumstance and situation is neutral. Bashar says this, if you've heard of Bashar. Every circumstance, situation is neutral. Whatever you ascribe to it is what it will give you. I say color it good, is what I say. Color it good because it'll bring you the good. So I'm like, I'm gonna color this good. This is good. I don't know how, I don't know why, but this is good. This is gonna be really good. So then I'm starting to do all my practices that I have about reminding myself how this is good. And it took us about a week to figure out that this is the best possible outcome, which, by the way, this was in January. I think we moved in February. And last week, the house did sell. But it's still tricky. It's not totally sold. It's a long and complicated story, which I won't bore you with, how the primary owner just stopped paying and left. The second lien is the one that's renting it to us. He gave us an awesome 2-year lease that decreases the amount we pay in the second year, so we make sure we get our deposit back in full. Told us we can make any changes to the house. You'll see if you go into a garage, my husband built his own office literally with walls and everything. It was a finished garage in there. Knocked out this, I mean, it's amazing the ways that this worked out, but the biggest way is that the house selling or going into foreclosure puts us in this incredible situation. That's a miracle. If you guys saw my post on Facebook last week that it happened, the house sold. There's still a few months probably for it to be finalized, for the bank to get it back. But this means the worst case scenario is we get to renegotiate our lease for a lot less money, because we're in charge. The best case scenario, they pay us 20, 30 plus thousands of dollars to move out in 45 or 60 days. No way. Yes. What? Like, who orchestrated this thing? A week before, like, the timing of it, I get goosebumps. The timing of these things is insane. Who lined up all of these people and events? All I did was sit on the beach and do my abundance grid and celebrate the penny that I found on the floor and the client I have, and then bada bing, bada boom, here we are in the house, and they're gonna pay us lots of money to have lived in it for however many months. Oh, and did I mention that while they're figuring out all the situations, we don't pay any rent because we don't have an owner? You cannot script this stuff. You cannot script it. I don't know how it works, but I do know it works.